makes me want to have a bowl. Some of you have already pointed out there is news coming up on Vera Twomey. So we'll get stuck right into it. The very first headline we have today is the news that Vera Twomey just recently got a call off of the Health Minister, Stephen Donnelly, to say that AVAs medicine is going to be paid for at source. So basically what this means is Vera no longer has to pay €10,000 every 3 months. That would have been reimbursed by the government. Now instead of this, the government are actually paying directly to Bedrocan, I would imagine. So this is a great step forward for the many patients out there. I had this set up a little bit differently. This news only broke there like about maybe 40 minutes or so before actually going live. I was going to focus in on Vera in a different angle, that Vera was featured recently in the High Times magazine, and she was also in the Evening Echo, the Cork City Echo here, over the weekend. So in the High Times magazine, they done a very in-depth kind of background of Vera, her journey, as what she went through, and it continues to go through. I suppose maybe that journey is to an end now at the moment, after finally actually getting the cost of the medicine paid for up front, and delivery of it hopefully as well is going to be guaranteed to continue, and that Vera doesn't have to, or her husband has to go to Holland to pick up Ava's medicine. So again, happy bloody days on that one. As I say, High Times covered her story. The Evening Echo then was doing it on a different angle, talking about this reimbursement that was going on, and saying how Vera was hopeful that there was going to be an announcement soon. And you know, well, there you go, guys. You should always, you know, remain optimistic, as Vera did, and yeah, her optimism paid off. But what does this mean for the other patients out there? You know, this was the tweet that Vera announced. Said announcement to come shortly on Bedrocan is to be funded up front. We did it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's Stephen Donnelly. Thank you for calling me earlier, and at Micheál Martin, thank you, and at Adrian Moynihan and a few other people, thank you all so much. So again, you know, happy days, like, you know, but there's other patients out there still, and I don't know if this is going to cover their case. And as I say, I had this kind of lined up beforehand, looking at it from a different angle. But there's other patients out there now as well who have not been getting reimbursed all along. So I wonder, does that mean that their government is not going to cover their medicine anymore? So the other person's story I wanted to bring up was the story of Pamela and Ryan. So Pamela Barnes commented there recently, I'd done a bit of an action over the weekend. I planted more cannabis plants across Cork City. And I forgot to actually include that in today's 420 news, but there you go, it's out there now. But yeah, we got I think there was about 10 cannabis plants I got planted back at the Shandon footbridge, and as well at a few flower boxes across other locations in the city. Again, just an escalation on the previous protest. It was at one location on the Shandon footbridge, but now I'm after increasing it, bringing it to other locations, and I will continue to do that too. But Pamela commented this on the post that I shared up there with those images, and she said that Ryan's meds arrived after paying another €1,080 for his month's prescription. So that's for 1 month. So she's paying over €3,000 for the 3 months, whereas Vera's was 10,000. But still, that's an awful lot of money to be giving out. Especially if maybe, you know, funds are tight, you're renting a bloody house. We all know what rent is like in Ireland, you know. It's not cheap to live here, that's for sure. Like, and if you're a person suffering with chronic pain and you have to pay out a couple of £1,000 every bloody month, I don't think it'll be any easier. But she says Ryan's meds arrived after paying another €1,080 for his month's prescription, and still can't get help from at Irish Health Service or from the government at Leo Varadkar, Stephen Donnelly, Wicklow or Micheál Martin TD. I can't keep going like this. Still no programme open. Last date is June. Now they have pushed it out to the autumn again. But which autumn is it? It's ridiculous at this stage. But I won't be giving up. Ryan's right. Medical cannabis patient. Talk to Vera. Bring Alicia home. And hashtag Martin's World. So again, Pamela there has to go out and pay for Ryan's medicine. Now, Ryan has a rare genetic condition called Gardner syndrome. It's an associated tumour in his back, causes him chronic pain and can leave him in agony with an extremely restrictive movement. Pamela says that Ryan could sleep the wrong way and be bent double down when he wakes up. Before he started on medical cannabis, he'd have to take opiates and he'd be like a zombie for the day. Pamela also said that he has no appetite when he's on opiates, and he can't do anything. Since he got his new prescription, he can take it, and in 10 or 15 minutes he'll be fine. So that's the cannabis there she's talking about. He hasn't been in hospital since. Before that, he used to be in hospital repeatedly for pain management. So since getting access to cannabis, he hasn't had to go into hospital at all for this pain management, whereas before, that's repeatedly having to visit. And that's costs again, you know, and time taken up from health professionals who could be seeing other patients. Not that Ryan doesn't need to be seen, but if his pain is under control, then look, why take up the time of a consultant? There's many other patients out there who could be using it. So again, you know, medical cannabis is benefiting the system here by providing access to patients with it. So why aren't the health service affording patients access to it? I just don't understand this. Let's hope an announcement that comes later, look, that this is going to open up the door to all patients getting access to Bedrocan, and not the medicinal cannabis access program with their two products that are approved for use. Only one of them is actually available currently in Ireland, and still nobody has access to the medical cannabis access program. So, like, what they're doing there, I don't understand. There's good companies out there already. Tilray, Bedrocan, Aurora. There's so many medical cannabis companies out there already producing really good herbal-based products, full spectrum cannabis medicines, and I don't know why they're making the market so exclusive to these kind of they're very pharmaceutical based medicines, the ones that have been approved so far. They're not in the way in which patients who would like to use cannabis. I suppose Ryan here has been vaporizing his cannabis or smoking it probably, because he needs the immediate relief there from the chronic pain, and smoking it is probably one of the quickest ways in order to get it into the body, into the bloodstream, and out to the parts of the body that needs it. But Pamela went on to say that Ryan's life changed last October when, after a long battle, he was granted, and this was October of 2019 as well, I should add, after a long battle, he was granted the right to use medical cannabis, which can only be sourced from a designated pharmacy in The Hague and brought into the country under a special license. After struggling to plot a future, he secured an apprenticeship to train as a carpenter and has been making plans like the rest of his peers. And all this thanks to having access to cannabis, as opposed to the opiates, which would have left him unable to go to work because he's too much of a zombie on those bloody things. But one of his consultants vouched for his transformation, writing in a letter to the then Minister for Health, Simon Harris, that his pain symptoms have resolved significantly. There is no question of the benefit it has given Ryan and his quality of life, and that was signed by his oncologist, David Fennelly. That letter was written in support of Pamela's ongoing campaign to have the cost of the cannabis reimbursed by the HSE, while around 30 patients around the country have been granted the right, and that's actually about 60 now at the moment. So that number has doubled since this story was put out, where I'm taking these quotes from Pamela. That was story, it was from April of 2020. So again, since that article went out, there's been more than a doubling of the amount of patients getting access to the medical cannabis through the ministerial license. So the demand is certainly there for it. Pamela went on to say that it's costing us €975 a month for Ryan's medicine, and that's not including paying for trips to The Hague every 3 months. I wonder why it went up there recently, an extra £100 there, or £105 added onto it since the last payment. That's bad enough, but now, even though we are paying for it, we can't get it. I listened to all the announcements about isolating, and everyone was reassured they could still go to the pharmacist and get essential medicines, but we can't. And that again was coming from last year when Pamela was put into isolation, or under lockdown, I suppose, like the rest of us, and non-essential travel was taken away. Obviously her travel was essential, but she was afraid in bringing back the bloody virus at the time, because everybody was terrified of the thing once it was first announced. So again, look, I'll pay attention to the announcements later on. Hopefully I'll be able to understand where Pamela lies in this and other patients afterwards. Fingers crossed that this will be positive news for other patients. Again, as I said, this medical cannabis access program is not the way we should be getting access to. Patients should be getting access to the cannabis, because Bedrocan is not on there, Tilray is not on there, Aurora, the other companies that are out there providing the the medicines that are providing the most relief currently to patients across the globe from cannabis, that's who's providing them. There's 6 medicines, I think, or there's 4 medicines listed on a medical cannabis access program. Only 2 of them have been approved, and only 1 of them is actually available in Ireland at the moment. But still, nobody has access to it because nobody has gotten access to the medical cannabis access program because it's still not bloody active. It's crazy, like the can kicking that's going on here in this, like, in the suffering that it's caused. Then patients like Pamela having to fork out all of this money, having to go out there and fundraise. Pamela's at the fundraise for Ryan's Medicine, like many other patients that I've raised their stories here in the past, having to do GoFundMes, go out into the community, do fundraiser, long run kind of fundraisers and stuff like that. But again, you know, hopefully later on this evening, this will all be brought to an end with the announcement from the Minister, Stephen Donnelly, whenever it comes. So I'll be paying attention for that. Oh, it's getting hot in here, guys. It makes me want to have a bowl.